Well, good morning. I'm Christine Falsetti, and I am a family support coordinator with the Pennsylvania Family Support Team based at the Center for Schools and Communities, and I'm going to be your moderator today. It's my pleasure to welcome you to today's session, Why Early Matters, the Power of Early Intervention. Our presenter today is Kimberly Rode. Kimberly joined the Office of Child Development and Early Learning, or OCDEL, in May as the Director of the Bureau of Early Intervention Services and Family Supports. Kim comes to the Bureau from Erin Intermediate Unit 28, where she served as a school psychologist for 18 years and the Director of Special Education for 6 years. Kim graduated with her bachelor's degree in Human Development and Family Studies from Penn State University before earning her master's in educational psychology and certifications in school psychology and supervisor of pupil personnel from Indiana University of Pennsylvania. Most recently, in August 2024, Kim earned her Doctor of Education degree in Administration and Leadership Studies, also from IUP. Kim truly believes that all people have unique skills and abilities that can be valued and used to make our Commonwealth a place where everyone can thrive and prosper. As a lifelong learner, she knows that there is always room to learn and grow. She relies on data to guide areas designated for improvement and to provide evidence of the impact of her and her colleagues' work. She looks forward to working with the OCDEL team to support children, families, and providers by addressing complex issues from a place of creativity, innovation, and adaptability. It is my pleasure to welcome Kimberly Rode. Good morning, Kim, and thank you for joining us. The microphone is now yours.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Christine, for that lovely welcome. I am Kimberly Rode. I'm the new Director of the Bureau of Early Intervention Services and Family Supports. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the services that we provide today. So this slide shows the organizational structure of within the Pennsylvania government. Conceived in 2007, the Office of Child Development and Early Learning, which I'll refer to as OCDEL, has focused on creating opportunities for the Commonwealth's youngest children to develop and learn to their fullest potential. This goal is accomplished through a framework of supports and systems that help ensure children and their families have access to high-quality services. As you can see on the screen, under the leadership of Governor Shapiro, Pennsylvania's Department of Human Services, DHS, and the Department of Education, or PDE, jointly oversee OCDEL while closely partnering with the Department of Health. There are 5 bureaus under OCDEL who are closely aligned and through which the work of the office is accomplished. You can see them all listed there. There's the Bureau of Early Learning Policy and Professional Development, Bureau of Early Learning Resource Center, or ELRC, Operations and Monitoring, Bureau of Finance, Administration and Planning, Bureau of Certification Services, and the Bureau of Early Intervention Services and Family Supports. My bureau is responsible for the management, implementation, and oversight of the statewide EI program, Early Intervention Program for children birth to school age and their families. Both Part C, birth to 3, and Part B, 619, which is 3 to school age, under IDEA. The Bureau also oversees evidence-based home visiting and family support programs. The Bureau of Early Intervention Services and Family Supports is responsible for monitoring and supporting all evidence-based home visiting and family support programs across the state of Pennsylvania, such as the Maternal Infant Early Childhood Home Visiting, MICV, programs and family centers. This just gives you the OCDEL values statement, and there's a couple parts that I want to point out to you. The OCDEL strives to support children, families, and providers by addressing complex issues, and we're built on a solid foundation of collaboration and insist that all are met with understanding, compassion, and respect. And we are committed to a culture of belonging. So all of those things are really important to our office. This next slide shows our structure within the Bureau of Early Intervention Services and Family Supports. I serve as the director, and I have 3 division chiefs, Deb Knoll, Emily Hackelman, and Stacy Kenny. And according to our structure, they're divided by location, east, west, and central. And that's not really accurate. They definitely have different roles. Dr. Stacy Kenny is responsible for family supports as well as our Eastern programs. Emily Hackelman, in addition to Central, is responsible for all of our data. And Deb, in addition to the Western Division, really takes care of our verification and monitoring. And the 3 division chiefs oversee all of our EI advisors who are responsible for overseeing the local programs. This slide shows the state and how it's divided into 48 infant toddler EI programs. So our infant toddler programs are run through county government, either a single county or a county joinder. So you can see the colored counties are together as county joiners. So for example, Armstrong, Indiana is one county joinder that works together to cover those 2 counties. And we also have a provider agency in the east called Elwyn. These programs in turn contract with EI providers who deliver EI services to children birth to 3. Pennsylvania has a dedicated service coordination model, and the role of a service coordinator is dedicated to those service coordination activities, and the agency is independent from service provision. There are approximately 500 contracted provider organizations, including nonprofit, for-profit providers, as well as independent providers. And an independent provider is an individual who's not affiliated with an agency. Across the state, there are approximately 4,700 early interventionists who provide direct services to children and families. And when we refer to early interventionists, we mean direct service providers like special instructors, physical and occupational therapists and their assistants, speech language pathologists, vision, hearing, all of those service providers. This map shows our preschool programs. We have 33 preschool EI programs that are run through the intermediate units, school districts, or a provider agency. Many of these programs provide the staff to deliver the services to our children from 3 to school age, though a few do contract with other outside providers. There was a change for 2025. Erie School District is no longer an EI program, and it was absorbed by IU5 in the Northeast. In early intervention, we are really proud of our evidence-based service delivery. In the birth to 3 early intervention program, infant toddler, we use family-guided routines-based instruction. And in our preschool programs, we use embedded instruction. One of the 4 key focuses continues to be to strengthen the early intervention service delivery model by supporting infant, toddler, and preschool EI professionals, as well as early childhood education professionals to develop competence and confidence in providing consistent, high-quality intervention through those evidence-based caregiver coaching and routines-based instruction. The announcement that you can see on your screen was developed in 2020, and it really establishes the vision and expectations on this work. We've structured learning paths for both infant, toddler, and preschool professionals. For the infant toddler folks, the path that provides the foundational knowledge to prepare them to join a professional learning community, or PLC, as they work toward becoming an endorsed PA early intervention coach. And for preschool, the path is a sequence of professional development opportunities and resources that provide preschool early intervention professionals with the essential knowledge and skills to effectively implement the practices of embedded instruction for early learning with fidelity. We also support core leadership teams at the local level to focus on leadership and organizational drivers necessary to implement new practices. So this programming really works to support the folks who spend the most time with our youngest children. And in large part, that is the families. So we recognize the importance of families and truly value their role as the primary teachers and caregivers in young children's lives. They are amazing partners without whom we could not do this work. And as such, the Bureau has many opportunities to learn with and from our families. Parent to Parent is a program that connects families of children and adults with a disability or special need to a peer supporter or mentor for the purposes of emotional support and information. Competence and Confidence, Partners in Policy Making Early Intervention, or C2P2EI, is a free 9-month leadership development training for families of children receiving early intervention, infant, toddler, or preschool services. Applications for that program were due in July, and we're in the process of providing that program. P3D is Parents as Partners in Professional Development, and P3D brings together families of children receiving early intervention or family support services to share their experiences to improve training and resources. It also promotes connections between families. Family Connections for Language and Learning is a program made up of a team of experienced parents of children who are deaf or hard of hearing, as well as deaf and hard of hearing adults. And it can help families navigate the early intervention system and explore communication opportunities for their children. We also have parent training centers that connect to our federal funded parent training centers, parent cafes, where parents have opportunities to network with other Pennsylvania families receiving early intervention services or home visiting family supports. The State Interagency Coordinating Council provides family meet and greets where they meet, network, and share resources with other families, learn about the purpose of the SICC and key policy issues discussed at the SICC meeting. And local interagency coordinating councils are local groups that include families, county administration, intermediate units, school districts, early intervention providers, Head Start, service coordinators, health agencies, and other community organizations that work toward the overall goal of enhancing local early intervention supports and services. Information about all of these things can be found on our EITA portal families page. And we're really proud of the communication that we provide through EITA. The portal provides online learning opportunities, professional development, and resources relevant to Pennsylvania's early intervention and early learning community. It's accessible on any electronic device, phone, tablet, or computer. And to get the latest training information, everyone is welcome to sign up for our email newsletters. There are 3 newsletters that you can sign up for. You can sign up for one or all 3. The EITA training announcements provide real-time information about available training opportunities. It's sent out as we have something new to share to the field. It's not on a standard schedule. The Portal of Practice is a monthly newsletter that highlights online learning, professional development opportunities, and resources relevant to Pennsylvania's early intervention and early learning community. And our Coaching Corner, which is a monthly newsletter that provides information related to our evidence-based service delivery coaching across settings. We also have the Pennsylvania Early Ed News, sponsored by OCDEL. It's a monthly e-newsletter that informs early learning professionals, the early childhood community, school district staff, policymakers, community leaders, and the public on developments in the early childhood education and care in Pennsylvania. This newsletter is free and available to anyone. And that one can be found on the Pennsylvania Key website, which I have linked at the bottom there. And when you subscribe to PA Early Ed News, you could also receive special announcements throughout the month from OCDEL, keeping you up to date on current information. EITA also has an app that is accessible from the App Store or on Google Play. And that just puts all of that information at your fingertips. We truly believe that our efforts to communicate clearly and often helps to keep our families and providers engaged and promotes the continuous improvement of our programs and practices to support the best outcomes for our youngest learners and their families. With that, I will turn it back over to Christine. Thank you.
Kim, thank you so much for sharing all that information today. I know this will be valuable information for all of our attendees today, so thank you so much.
Absolutely.
All right, and our next step is we're going to do our parent panel. We have one of our parents here today with us, and we will also be showing a recording of a response from a parent who was not able to be with us today. So our two parents today who are joining us, well, our one parent joining us today is Courtney Winkler, and our other parent is Wency Schwab. And I wanted to dive right into the first question. So our first question for the parent panel questions is to share a brief description about your experience with early intervention and family support services. Hi, Courtney. So the first question, as I said, was share a brief description about your experience with early intervention and family support services.
Okay, so I have had 4 kiddos going into early intervention as early as 2017. One of my kiddos did interim teacher and also speech. The other one has done speech, occupational therapy, and social work. My other child did occupational speech, social work, and physical therapy. And my youngest, he is now doing speech. We did have social work and we did have PT, and we no longer need them services.
Thank you for sharing. And I believe you had told me before that one of your kiddos is in parents as teachers as well.
Yes. So 2 of my kids, the one went through parents as teacher the first time around, and she is now in kindergarten. And my youngest is now in parents as teachers as well, because I actually really adore and I love the program.
So share a little more about your experience with early intervention.
Early intervention has shown me it's okay for my children to be different in a sense. With sometimes their delay, it could be either their prematurity, or it could also be my one kiddo who was full term. We did get a diagnosis that she is autistic. So it's just having that perception and that understanding of, there's so many things going on at once that, sometimes you have to take a moment for each child themselves and to get them better and get them focused on, okay, this is the milestone they need to meet at this time. Or for instance, my youngest, he's in speech and he's only about 18 months now. And one of the things we're working on is foundations, learning to get him into trying to use his vocals a little bit more. Right now he grunts, he says good, and he says mama. That's about all we really have anymore.
Yeah, Courtney, thank you for sharing that. We're going to move on to the next question that we have, which is what was your experience navigating the early intervention system?
So that was included in the first thing is because my 2 kiddos were premature by 32 weeks, because they had that deficit, they weren't making the milestones they met. So the one, they did a referral by the doctor, and I had no idea what was going on, but they were like, no, you need this service. Let's try to get all the services he needed so that way he could play catch up. My other kiddo, she was making milestones, but again, it was harder for her to regulate herself. So I called in and I did a self referral, which you can do. and they did the intake right then and there, and then they called you 2 days after to schedule the evaluation a month ahead. And then also, with that being said, after the month ahead and you do the assessment, the evaluation, they tell you right then and there what services, if you qualified or not for early intervention. And it's a free program. The other thing is when your kiddo does reach the age of 3, you have a transition meeting to also go into the IU13 program, and that's from 3 to 5.
That sounds like a lot to navigate. And it sounds like you're pretty good at it. Thank you for sharing that information. Was there anything else you wanted to share regarding navigating early intervention?
The thing that I would say is the most important thing is having, don't mind my kids, I'm sorry, is that communication is key. And if you have a concern or anything, you could talk to the service coordinator, and the service coordinator, once you get your services, they recommend and stuff. And if you want to start right away, you can. But within a week or two, you will find out who your service coordinator is, and then you will have that discussion with them also to know what's going to be going on for your family.
Thank you. One more question we have for you are, what are your recommendations for communication between families and services, which you've touched on a little bit? Did you have any other additional recommendations regarding communication?
I would just put this out there that early intervention focuses on the family as a whole, whereas IU13 only focuses on the individual aspect and the educational side of learning, where early intervention does the whole, like if your kiddo is dysregulated or anything, occupational therapy will help with that. Like it's all incorporated with sensory and stuff like that. That's the only thing that I have regarding that.
Courtney, thanks so much for sharing that. Did you want to speak on a little bit more of your experience with family support services?
Are you talking about the parents as teacher program?
Yeah, home visiting.
Okay, sorry. So my experience with parents as teachers is I absolutely loved it. It was something, you might see one of my kiddos here in a minute, sorry. One of the things like I majorly loved about parents as teachers is the events that we've had. So there was so we did play and learn sessions. We actually just finished our last one of this month, like it's 8 sessions, and each session we learned, go to daddy. Each session we learned about like the farm. We took a tractor, and then the kids actually painted pumpkins. Another thing is the Columbia Library. We learned about, I'm sorry, I have to do something real quick. I am so sorry. We learned about the books and the stuff, like what is appropriate for the kids. The other thing we did last night was we made a snack, and it was to make a boo banana. So a banana with semi-sweet chocolates and making them as eyes as a boo. And what was the ones? The other thing we did was we took the kids to Cherry Hill Orchard. They also got a pumpkin. They got to pick apples. They got to learn about everything locally, like what is produce, what is not. The other thing is it's basically more beneficial for families who want to connect with other families as well. One of the other key events that we did last year that I really enjoyed was we did cultural food festival. So everyone um, from their countries basically made up all their food, and we got to try everyone's food, which was really nice because we want people to understand, like, parents as teachers as a whole is so diversitized that we want to include everybody's diversity and everybody's culture rather than just do one culture.
Yeah, and I remember when we were talking, you were saying how important those social events to connect with other families was to you. So I really appreciate you sharing all of this information today, Courtney, and thank you for being here. We're going to move on to our video, but thank you so much again for sharing. So our other parent that we're going to have share a video, she decided to record and share her experience, the video, because she could not be here today. Her name is Wency Schwab. And Michael, if you would like to pull up that video and share Wency's story and experience.
Hello, everyone. My name is Wency, and I live in Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity for me to share my experiences of receiving family support services as well as the early intervention services. I have 3 children, and we received family support services for about 3 years. And 2 of my children received early intervention services for about 4 years. I am very, very thankful for both services provided to my children and my family. So I met this wonderful program provider at a public event called Family Fun Fest about maybe 5-6 years ago. She was recruiting families for her program, and at the time I only had 2 children, and I was really struggling as a mom because I really wanted to be a good mom, but I really did not know the best way to approach motherhood. I feel like I really needed someone who is experienced to guide me through the journey, and I get to talk to her, and she introduced her program as something that is really fun, engaging, completely free. She would bring activities and games and visit my children on a bi-weekly basis in my home. And I decided right away that I'm not going to give it a try because I really want to see how effective parenting looks like, what effective parenting looks like. And it turned out to be the best decision for me as well as for my family. I really love our family provider, the family support service provider. She was super professional, knowledgeable, very friendly. She came in as a professional, but she really treated us as a friend. For example, she would support me when I struggled with potty training my son, and she would demonstrate the best practices to interact with the children, reading a book. She herself is also a mother. She have her own children, so she knew what it feels like to go through this motherhood. It was also my wonderful family support provider who identified a speech delay in my children and referred us to the early intervention program. And I was really, really thankful because early intervention program was exactly what my son needed. And once he was enrolled and started receiving services, he started to talk right away, and he started to making significant progress in communication, in his language skills. I am really beyond thankful for all these program services that provided to our family, supported my children, but also supported me as a mom. And now I have this wonderful opportunity to share my experience. I really hope more families are able to get this exposure and knowledge about this program and benefit from the services. Another question I would like to share is some of my recommendations about communication. I think communication is so important. I probably did not realize how important it was at the very beginning of receiving family services, but it grew to be something that I intentionally developed over the years. Sometimes the communications happen through the program brochures, right? Through the policy making, through the mutual agreement, but also communication happens through daily texting, text messaging, through daily conversation, through those small talks. So it doesn't matter if it's official policy communication or daily small talk. Both communications are really important because it helps families, helps professionals to build a reciprocal and respectful relationship. And in my opinion, in my experience in observing other family members, also observing other professionals communicating with each other, I think the most important part is respect and mutual respect. We respect the professionals who bring professional knowledge, skills, and expertise into my home, to my children, and help my children. So I respect all their professionalism knowledge, and in the same way, I hope that professionals respect parents to be expert of the children as well, because we interact with the children every single day. We live in the same household. We make observations of the children. We know their strengths, their preferences, their struggles, their challenges. So we can provide very valuable information for our children. So mutual respect and transparent communication is always helpful in any given situation. So with that, I'm going to close my sharing today, and thank you so much again for this wonderful opportunity to share my experiences about the family support program as well as the early intervention services we have received. Thank you.
All right. Great stories from both of our parents. Thank you again. And thank you again, Kim, for your presentation. Does anyone have any questions? Any questions for our parents or any questions for our presenter?
I don't have any questions, but I would just like to thank both of the parents for sharing and the presenter for sharing their information and the relationship that they have with all the services that they are enjoying and the family's growing with. And it's so important to always hear another parent's story because it inspires other parents, even the workers that are new coming into this home visiting and, doing the screenings and you're seeing things and to be able to communicate that with the families and they feel comfortable enough to trust that what you're talking about and what they're talking about, and someone else coming into the home to help tackle if there is a delay or something that needs to be addressed right away. Being able to have that comfort and that relationship building and respect, like she said, to move forward. I truly enjoyed that.
Thank you, Yvonne.
You're welcome.
I'm going to mispronounce this name. I am going to apologize now. I want to say Onachi? I hope I'm saying that correctly.
You get an A+. You get an A+. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Go
I
ahead.
don't know. I don't know if this is a place for the question, uh, but what I've found in some cases is that residents are falsely accused without evidence. I have a case where this gentleman was someone came to his house and then he found that they had marijuana in the house. He was growing marijuana, but he was charged with um, child mistreatment, right? And he has a case, and the new caseworker is saying that she doesn't understand how all the things that he's done. He's gone to parenting classes, all the things they've asked him to do, he's done, and he submitted the paperwork to the previous case manager, and none of that is in the file of the current case manager. So my question, and again, I don't know if this is a place for it, but I'm just trying to deal with accountability. We have, professionals need to be held to certain kind of standards. So if there was a complaint about a caseworker, where would that person uh, where would that person take that complaint?
In the instance of saying whether that's a home visitor or an early intervention person, you're saying anybody working with the family, how would they report a complaint regarding any
Mhm.
services?
Yes,
Um,
yes.
I particularly would not know how to answer that. Kim, is there a way that you would be able to report any kind of complaint related to the services a family would be receiving, that be home visiting or early intervention?
Absolutely. In family support or in early intervention, we have a complaint process. And you can access a complaint form on our website to file a formal complaint. Every complaint that we receive is investigated. For other folks that are in families' homes, if they're outside of family supports or early intervention, I would always go to their to the agency that they work for and communicate with their supervisor or someone in a position of authority in one of those agencies.
Thank you. Can you put the website in the chat, please?
Okay.
Thank you very much. It was kind of like off the subject, but it's on my mind because I have to get back to this individual today. Thank you so much.
Okay. Are there any other questions for our parents or presenter?
Christine, I think someone else had their hand up.
Jillian, that's what I
question.
thought. Go ahead, Jillian.
I just have a question for the mom. I feel like a lot of my families almost get like offended if we ask to make the referral for earlier intervention. Is there a way that maybe we could approach it to make the parents feel more comfortable about it, that it's not a bad thing, or not that we think they're bad parents, but they might just need a little bit more support to become a better parent for their kid? Sorry if you hear my baby talking in the background now.
I
I'm
wanted, oh, go ahead, Courtney.
okay. I mean, early intervention is there to help you, and that's why it's so evidence-based on their research on how they made their milestones and everything. But it's not to make you feel ashamed or worried. Like, okay, I have a good one for you. My stepdaughter, so I have 5 kids total. I have a stepdaughter whose mom was ashamed basically because I saw that she needed the help and her mom didn't want to do this. And so we fought back and forth with her for a little bit, and I was like, you know what, we're just going to go to the judge at this point. Because it was just a constant daily thing that it was just leading up to it. One of the main things her mom was concerned with, as of right now, she is now school age, she is 10 and thriving. But one of the things is she dyslexic, or does she need a learning support or something? I would often tell other people that just because your little child needs help, it doesn't mean that they're necessarily behind either. It just means they just need a little umph in their step to process, because some kids do take that time to process, to understand what you're fully saying in a comprehension level. So I guess I'd say don't ever try to feel ashamed for your child, because in the end, you're doing what's in the best interest of your child, and what could be in the best interest of them would actually honestly be early intervention services, because you're kicking it through the door. Who's to say when they become school age that they need this type of service? And you already have it there, and be like, hey, well, we did early intervention. So from my understanding, don't ever be ashamed of if your child needs a support. Just I would say feel more inspired, because you're getting that help ahead of time, and you're not so much worrying about it when they become school age.
Thank you for sharing that. All right. Well, again, thank you to
Christine, there is one more question in the
one
chat.
more question. Okay.
What are some ways you suggest exploring and learning about the early intervention program as a new home visitor?
It's a good question. I'm thinking, Kim, might you be able to answer a little bit of that for us?
So I put the EITA portal website link in the chat. That really is a source of all information early intervention. There are topics of interest that you can click on. There are sections for families. There are sections for early intervention partners. So just lots of information about early intervention that could certainly be helpful for a home visitor. And depending on whether you're working with younger children, infant toddlers 0 to 3, or preschool children 3 to 5, I would encourage you to communicate with the local agencies in your area, whether it's the county agency that runs early intervention for birth to 3, or if there's an intermediate unit, or whichever program is running the preschool program in your area. They would be more than happy to meet with you and talk to you about the program, provide you with materials so that you can, share them with families that you have concerns for their children, and make those connections. And we would certainly appreciate your efforts in that area. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. All right. Well, I'm going to move on to our closing. Thank all of you for joining us today. When you receive the electronic evaluation via email, please take a couple of minutes to complete it, as your feedback helps us to offer professional development of the highest quality. Registration information for next month's webinar, that's going to focus on maternal mental health, and that will be emailed out soon. So again, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Courtney. And I'm so appreciative for when she's sending us the video. And this concludes today's webinar. I hope this was informative and you learned something and that you enjoyed the stories you were hearing. So everybody, have a wonderful day.
Thanks so much for having me, Christine.
Yeah, thank you, Kim.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you so much, Courtney.